We'll keep close eye on that one. Meanwhile, turning to deals, Romain, 5G, well, it's yet to become the norm for wireless. Some places can't even get 3G, but that isn't preventing telecoms from bidding huge sums in their push to own the market. Bloomberg's Ed Hammond sat down with PJT Partners, Jim Murray, a partner in the firm's strategic advisory group, to discuss what the recent auction means for competition in 5G.
The general expectation on the street was for AT&T in particular to go out and try to acquire enough spectrum that they could be competitive in the long haul, along with Verizon, both trying to match T-Mobile's 2.5 gigahertz spectrum that they picked up in the acquisition of Sprint. So I don't think the fact that AT&T and Verizon buy a lot of spectrum is going to surprise folks. I think how much they're going to acquire, probably north of $20 billion for AT&T, is definitely going to catch some people by surprise. It's at the high end of expectations.
Surely T-Mobile and the combined T-Mobile Sprint business now must be licking their lips at this, because this is exactly what they wanted to happen in terms of forcing the incumbent powers to sort of really ramp up their spending to be competitive post-merger.
I think that that's right. I think that the challenge has kind of arisen with this large block of spectrum that T-Mobile acquired from Sprint, and that 2.5 gigahertz spectrum is really regarded as beachfront property for 5G. And so clearing this new block of spectrum, the C-band as they call it, which is 3.7 gigahertz, became a real priority for the industry. I think what folks need to look at now, though, is that it's a combination of your existing spectrum plus what you're buying here, which is going to determine the cards that you hold in the 5G world. T-Mobile is obviously set up quite nicely for that. And coming out of this auction, it looks like AT&T and Verizon are going to both have what they need to compete as well.
So pivoting away from the big three, what does it mean for the smaller powers? If I look at someone like Dish, potentially in an auction like this, are they just being squeezed out because of the pricing?
I don't know, and we won't know where Dish actually came out until we see the results. The numbers that we're seeing aren't incompatible with Dish making acquisitions. I think the bigger question is, does Dish urgently need to buy this? Dish has a large portfolio of spectrum. They're very well positioned to participate as they build out their own network. And down the road, they could be a participant in industry consolidation.
If we can look at space, which is a sector I know you cover fairly closely, has been very hot in terms of both M&A and the launching of a lot of new companies, new investment in that area. I know you have a thesis that the boom we're seeing in SPACs, special purpose acquisition companies, is sort of very well suited to the space industry. Now, I want you to go into why, because other than sharing some nominative overlap, I don't see an obvious reason why SPACs are primed for investment in space.
Well, I think it's a combination of SPAC investors and PIPE investors really looking for growth and having a lot of capital to deploy on the one side, and then on the new space side. And in that, we include everything from companies like SpaceX, which are pursuing launch vehicles, to space-based companies like I think a good example would be OneWeb, which is a company that's backed by the UK government and telecommunications providers out of Asia. These companies are building thousands of satellites, right? And we're going from a world where a large company might have 50 satellites to a world where large network operators are going to have thousands of satellites. And so the capital requirements of the industry as a whole have met the capital providers in the form of the SPAC. And it's quite a match. And so you're seeing a real appetite, both in public investors on the SPAC side for these deals, but also private investors. 2020 was the largest single year in terms of venture capital investment in space. And we continue to see both private and public markets chasing these companies.